Raymond Hilaire of Sab St. Andrew passed away on Saturday, December 3rd, 2022, at the age of 61. He was the husband of Denise Bain Hilaire, father of Kissy, Wavell, Kevin and Caroline, stepfather of Hannah, Marisha, Tevin, Akim, Kellen and Donna, grandfather of 2, brother of Vilma, also known as Teffy, Irma, Roland, also known as Raga, Alan, also known as Dante, and Ken, brother-in-law of Jude Granger and Anne Klein, uncle of Naomi, Angel, Jamila, Aquila, Ricardo, Stevie and Joe, nephew of Anne, Phyllis, Worthy and Deslin. Many cousins, other relatives and friends including Melissa, Idis, Teresa, Merlin, Valman, Derek, Deslin, Gracelyn, Joycelyn, the Hilaire families of Mirabeau, Sab, Grandans, Tivoli and St. Patrick, and friends and neighbors of Sab and surrounding areas. A memorial service for the late Raymond Hilaire of Sab St. Andrew will take place on Tuesday, December 13th at 2 p.m. Service will be held at the Mirabeau Seventh-day Adventist Church. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Daniel Hippolyte, also known as Lodrick, of Mount Agnes St. David, a well-known farmer, died on Saturday, December 3rd, 2022, at the age of 82. Left to mourn his children Gordon, Lyra, Andrea, Marcia, Ishmael, Terry, Antonia, Jonathan and Jerry Fortune, cousins Jim Board, Michael Board, Kimo Peters, Lloyd Hippolyte, and Adrian Duncan, father-in-law of Sanford Lewis, Alvin Ians, Wayne Langdon, Miranda Fortune, and Rolanda Julian. 19 grandchildren, 4 great-grands. Close friend of Samuel Joseph, Joel Thomas, Michael Francis, Kenny, and Dennis. Many relatives and friends including the Hippolyte and Mitchell families of Mount Agnes and Pomrose, and the Fortune family of Belle Isle. The funeral of the late Daniel Hippolyte, also known as Lodrick, of Mount Agnes St. David, will take place on Wednesday, December 14th, at 1:30 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the Mall-Mount Seventh-day Adventist Church, and interment will be at the Bellevue Cemetery. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home.
Francis Mitchell Andal, also known as Kim or Pei of Union St. Mark, passed away on Monday, 21st November. He was the father of Kevin, Avian, Nicole, Handel, Mariah, and Donna. His partner Annette, stepfather of Hannah, grandfather of Donnell, Cara, Christy, Christelle, Emonte, and Dominic, brother of Valerie, Elma, Ronnie, Margaret, Jillian, Larry, and Sally, nephew of Carrie in Grenada, Dennis and Jane in the UK, uncle of many, cousin of Mikey and Judy in Canada, Yoland, Coslin, Skillia, and Gary in Grenada, Sean in the UK. Many other relatives and close friends including the Andal family of St. Patrick, St. Mark, Trinidad, the USA, and the UK, friends and neighbors of Samaritan, Union, Waltham, and surrounding areas. The funeral of the late Francis Mitchell Andal of Union St. Mark will take place on Wednesday, 14th December. The funeral service will be held at the St. Patrick Anglican Church Sates, and entombment will be at the Marley Cemetery. Fiona and tributes begin at 12 noon, followed by the funeral service at 2 p.m. Funeral arrangements have been entrusted to the Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Pearl Edmond of Belmont, who resided at John and Grace St. George, passed away on Monday, 28 November, at the age of 61. Left to mourn her husband, Sherman Edmond Cox. 7 surviving children, Kasha, Caron, Endon, Kachi, Kendon, Sherma, Shanika. Brothers Lawrence and Bob, sisters Yvonne, Claudette, Cynthia, Charmaine, Anna, Jessica, and Rhonda. 17 grandchildren, Kashana, Aiden, Crystal, Shakana, Keon, Octavia, Simone Jr., Keanu, Endonna, Rogel, Katcha, Rajon, Javando, Kelina, Kaden, Soraya, and Shakira. 2 grandchildren, Harmony and Shari. Sons-in-law, Roger and Jonathan. Daughters-in-law, Tanisha, and Ophelia in Canada. Many nieces, nephews, and other surviving relatives and friends in Grenada and abroad. Members and staff of IHS Dialysis Center. Members of Church of God of Prophecy. The funeral of the late Pearl Edmond will take place on Wednesday, 14th December at 1 p.m. The funeral service will be held at the Grandance Baptist Church, Morris Bishop Highway, St. George, and the interment will be at the Grandance Cemetery. Funeral arrangements have been entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home. Linton Oliver of Beckway, who resided in Windward, Carriacou, and Grand Mall, St. George, passed away on Monday, 28 November, at the age of 86. He was the father of Walter Oliver, Vanita Oliver Georgeson in Canada, grandfather of Kiwani, Crystal, Bianca, Megan, Cordell, Tilia, Taylor, Abigail, Nazarene, Amanda, Vashon, Jaden, and Alyssa. Great-grandfather of Keisha, Kalia, King, Kwan, and Aliyah. Brother of Stanley in Grenada, Ernest, Elda, Margaret, Alga, and Belinda in Beckway. Fertilda in Canada. Father of Curlin Oliver, Andrew Georgeson in Canada. Many nieces and nephews. Other relatives and friends including Margaret and Peter Clark and family, Jason Emmons, Vonnet Joseph and family in Carriacou, Devon, Uncle C and family, Nurse Alexis, Kelisha, Chanel, Davona, Neg and family, the Williams and Oliver families of Beckway, St. Vincent and Grenada, Mr. Tom, Peter, Mr. Charles, friends and neighbors of Beckway, Carriacou, and Grand Mall. The funeral of the late Linton Oliver of Beckway, who resided in Windward, Carriacou, and Grand Mall, St. George, will take place on Thursday, 15th December at 1 p.m. The funeral service will be held at the Garden of Remembrance Funeral Chapel, Cemetery Hill, St. George, according to Catholic rites, and the interment will be at the Wilberforce Cemetery. Funeral arrangements have been entrusted to Lacroix Brothers Funeral Home. Joseph Cummins, also known as Brother Cummins of Brunswick, Carriacou, passed away on Thursday, 24th November, at the age of 93. He was the father of Valerie, Cathy, and Michael Cummins, grandfather of Shireen Alexander, Chantal Cummins, Nathaniel Stewart, Keisha Charles, Tanisha Stewart, Micah Stewart, Andre Cummins Lane, Rihanna Fergus Cummins, Dante Mackenzie, Tevin Davis, and Jameson Peters Cummins, great-grandfather of Terrell Cummins Anderson, Janae Cummins, Zane Miller, Sky, and Cameron Stewart and Avery Charles. Caregivers Linky, Jasmine Clement, Louise Joseph, Fiona Aline, Abigail Peters, and Jennifer Jaffia. Many other relatives and friends including the Cummins family in Trinidad, Tobago, Jamaica, Australia, Grenada, Carriacou, Aruba, USA, and the UK. Friends and neighbors of Brunswick and surrounding areas too numerous to mention. The funeral of the late Joseph Cummins, also known as Brother Cummins of Brunswick, Carriacou, will take place on Thursday, 15th December at 2 p.m. The funeral service will be held at Christ the King Anglican Church, Hillsborough, Carriacou, and the interment will be at the family cemetery, Bellevue, South Carriacou. Funeral arrangements have been entrusted to Lacroix Brothers Funeral Home.
Hendrick Edward Patrice of Windward, Carriacou, passed away on Friday, December 2nd, 2022, at the age of 64. He was the brother of Shirley Steele, Petrock, also known as Pippi, Marcia, Alice and Roderick Patrice, and Rosalina Patrice Lendor. Brother-in-law of Helen and Christine Patrice, Earl Steele and Brian Lendor. Uncle of many including Andy, Jacob and Travis Steele, Tessa McLeod, Fafina and Deondra Patrice, and Rashawn Lendor. Other relatives and friends including the Patrice, McLawrence and Steele families, the Bethel, Compton, Eno, Martineau, George, Roberts, McQuilkin, Joseph, McFarlane, John, Desrochers, Lendor and McGilvery families in Carriacou and Petite Martinique, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, the USA and the United Kingdom, the doctors and nurses and healthcare workers of the Princess Alice Hospital and the Windward Clinic, and friends and neighbors of Windward and surrounding areas too numerous to mention. The funeral of the late Hendrick Edward Patrice of Windward Carriacue will take place on Thursday, December 15th at 2 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the St. Peter's and Paul Roman Catholic Church, Windward Carriacue, and interment will be at the McLawrence Family Cemetery, Windward Carriacue. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home.
Muriel Albertina Taylor of Griffin Lane, Grenville, St. Andrew, passed away on Thursday, 24th November, at the age of 88. She was the mother of Lennox Taylor, Elin Gabriel, and Marlene Taylor, residing in Grenada. Godric Taylor and Sylvia James, residing in the USA. She was the grandmother of Jonathan, Janelle, Shaquille, and Shaquani in Grenada, Tito, Kurt, Kizel, Katisha, Abigail, Danielle, Sean and Jason in the USA, and Malon in Canada. She was the mother-in-law of Kenneth Gabriel in Grenada, Bruno Patrice and John James, and Selma Thomas Taylor in the USA, and Rosie Nixon in Grenada. She was the sister-in-law of Almira Taylor and Septimus Taylor. 5 sisters and 3 brothers in the USA and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Many nieces and nephews in the USA, Canada, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Close friends including Nadia Phillip and Edmond, Miranda Blanche, Maureen Christopher, and the Parrots family. Other friends from Griffin Lane and surrounding areas. The priests, deacons, and parishioners of the St. Andrew's Anglican Church and members of the St. Andrew's Anglican Mothers Union. The funeral of the late Muriel Taylor will be held on Friday, 16th December at 1 p.m. at the St. Andrew's Anglican Church, and entombment will be at the Granborough Cemetery. Funeral arrangements have been entrusted to Wayne's Funeral Home.
Keith David Kalist, also known as Kezor and Kezaball of Pomerose St. David, died on Tuesday, November 8th, 2022 in Canada, at the age of 62. He was the beloved husband of Marcel Antoine Kalist, son of Edlin Kalist, father of Alicia and Kendon in Canada, Marlon in the Bahamas, Niffa, Ryan, Kamala, Andriel, Keyshawn, and Samantha in Grenada, stepfather of Crystal in Canada, brother of many, including Eastlyn and Jocelyn in Barbados, Kenneth in the USA, Pamela and Augustine in Grenada, grandfather of many, including Aaliyah in Canada, Miles in the Bahamas, Nickel, Nikela, Kedon, Prince, Celine and Chaz, Abriel, Michaela and Anil in Grenada, brother-in-law, father-in-law and nephew of many, uncle of many in the USA, Canada, Grenada, Barbados, and Trinidad. Other relatives and friends including the management and staff of King Elvis, Smokey, Auntie Mary, Ingrid, Pajak, Dragon, Chris, the Moraine, Kalist, Antoine, Mitchell, Wickham, Marcel, and Ross families, and neighbors and friends of Pomerose, Latante, and surrounding areas. The funeral service for the late Keith David Kalist, also known as Kezor and Kezaball, of Pomerose St. David, will take place on Friday, December 16th at 1 p.m. Funeral service will be held at the Pomerose RC Church, followed by interment at the Family Cemetery, Pomerose. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home. Michael Ford of Hackney, London, England, passed away on Sunday, November 20th, 2022, at the age of 63. He was the son of Mr. and Mrs. Ford of Latast St. Patrick, father of Junice and Navad, grandfather of Amari, brother of Bevelyn, Leonard, Dick and Tyson, uncle of Noel, Frances, Leroy, Cherie, Ebony, Luke, James, Beryl, Chanel, Darian, Kenneth, Latoya and Althea, grand uncle of Tyane, Mia, Cameron, Josiah, Jalea, Elisha, Janiat, Gianna and Jaya, Jasmine and Ryan. Many other relatives and friends in Grenada and England. The funeral of the late Michael Ford of Hackney, London, England, will be held privately. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Rudolph Walker of Bendham St. George, who resided in Alabama, USA, passed away on Thursday, 27th October 2022, at the age of 62. He was the husband of Eddie Mae Walker, brother of Wilma Nelson, uncle of Jermaine Walker, Alec and Elena Nixon. Many cousins, relatives and close friends in Grenada, Trinidad, Canada, England and the USA, including Samuel, Roll and Cecil, Sandyford, Justin, Ingrid, Valerie, Darlington, the Marichaud family, John Charles and family, the Frank family, and neighbors and friends of Vendham. A memorial service for the late Rudolph Walker of Vendham St. George, who resided in Alabama, USA, will take place in the USA. Arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Dominic Fitzroy McFadden, also known as Nick, father and teacher of Winwood Carriacou, passed away on Thursday, December 8, 2022, at the age of 67. The funeral arrangements for the late Dominic Fitzroy McFadden, also known as Nick, father and teacher of Winwood Carriacou, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Horus Anatol Di Ali, also known as Go Papa, of Duquesne, St. Mark, passed away on Thursday, December 8, 2022, at the age of 87. The funeral arrangements for the late Horus Anatol Di Ali, also known as Go Papa, of Duquesne, St. Mark, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Kendon Anthony Mark of Lamode St. George, who resided in Brooklyn, New York, died on Saturday, 19th November 2022 in New York, at the age of 37. The funeral arrangements for the late Kendon Anthony Mark of Lamode St. George, who resided in Brooklyn, New York, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home. Kimberly Bell of Woburn St. George died on Wednesday, December 7th, 2022, at the age of 39. The funeral arrangements for the late Kimberly Bell of Woburn St. George will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home. Vernal Collins, also known as Teacher Collins and Papa, of Mount Plaisir, who resided at Upper Depredine Street, Grove, St. John, and in Miami, Florida, passed away on Saturday, November 12, 2022, at the age of 83. The funeral arrangements for the late Vernal Collins, also known as Teacher Collins and Papa, of Mount Plaisir, who resided at Upper Depredine Street, Grove, St. John, and in Miami, Florida, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Percival Kenneth Alexander, also known as Paul O. of Snell Hall, St. Patrick, passed away on Sunday, November 20th, 2022, at the age of 92. The funeral arrangements for the late Percival Kenneth Alexander, also known as Paul O. of Snell Hall, St. Patrick, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Desmond Collins, also known as Casey or Carlo, of Old Wester Hall, St. David, died on Sunday, November 27th, 2022, at the age of 66. The funeral arrangements for the late Desmond Collins, also known as Casey or Carlo, of Old Wester Hall, St. David, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home. Fiona Frances Worm of St. Jules and Grand Ball, who resided at River Road, St. George, passed away on Thursday, December 1st, 2022, at the age of 54. The funeral arrangements for the late Fiona Frances Worm of St. Jules and Grand Mall, who resided at River Road, St. George, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home. Rosanna Latouche, also known as Miss Rosie of La Femme St. David, passed away on Thursday, December 1st, 2022, at the age of 97. The funeral arrangements for the late Rosanna Latouche, also known as Miss Rosie of La Femme St. David, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Lacqua Brothers Funeral Home. Austin Costnell Frank, also known as Casino, of Vendham St. George, died on Tuesday, November 29th, 2022, at the age of 96. The funeral arrangements for the late Austin Costnell Frank, also known as Casino or Vendome St. George, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home.
John Jones, also known as Baptiste, of Rose Hill, who resided at Maddie St. Patrick and London, UK, passed away on Friday, 2nd December, at the age of 82. The funeral service for the late John Jones of Rose Hill, who resided at Maddie St. Patrick and London, UK, will be given in a subsequent broadcast. Funeral arrangements have been entrusted to Lacroix Brothers Funeral Home.
In loving memory of Anna Morgan, who departed this life on December 10, 2020. Left to cherish her memories are her loving husband Bertrand Morgan, children Norma and Shirley in the USA, Sandra, Barry and Merlin in Canada, and Roslyn and Tony in Grenada. Grandchildren, great-grandchildren, sisters, other relatives and friends. Mom, you will forever have a place in our hearts. Sleep in perfect peace, Mom. We love you. Saying thanks to everyone who sent their prayers and well wishes. Arrangements were entrusted to Lacroix Brothers Funeral Home. In loving memory of Darren Brandon Honoré, also known as Dominic, Pucker and Chubby, who departed this life and went to be with the Lord on December 9th, 2021. You gave no one a last farewell, nor ever said goodbye. You were gone before we knew it, and only God knows why. A million times we will miss you, a million times we will cry. If love alone could have saved you, you never would have died. In life we loved you dearly. In death we love you still. Your memories live on. Oh, how well we remember all the special times we had, sharing good times and bad. The bond we had together, a bond of love and joy. You are missed dearly by your mother, Sharon Wise Honoré, father, Desmond Honoré, sisters Sammy, Lonisha and Sorana, brother Lonnie, your 2 children, having to grow up without you, all your nieces and nephews, especially Cyree, your cousins, especially Christelle, your aunts and uncles, especially Veron, Junior and Jacinta. We all miss hearing your laughter and the jokes you told. Life will never be the same without you. We appreciate the love and support given to us by the Horsford family, the Paul family, and all your friends and colleagues. The Bus Association, especially Mr. Derek McKenzie, for always reaching out on a regular basis, expressing how much they miss their Pucker and Chubby. Thank you, everyone. Darren, we think of you every single day and will keep you in our hearts forever until that day we unite again. We love and miss you forever, Darren. Continue sleeping in peace. Funeral arrangements were entrusted to Bailey's Funeral Home.
The management and staff of MTV extend deepest condolences to those of you whose loved ones have passed on. Thank you for watching.
Death and dying are the inevitable events and realities of life. The passing of a friend or loved one often brings with it the feelings of sadness, grief, and pain. There is always the period of sorrow and mourning for those who experience such loss. Brothers and sisters, particularly in this time and season of how you feel and what you may be thinking as a result of the passing of your loved one, there is a source and means of comfort that you can tap into. That source and means of comfort is God and His Word that speaks specifically and directly to our situation. Hear the word to you today. He says, "Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted." What I believe he is saying through this verse to you and everyone that is now experiencing some measure of grief or sorrow, and what I also believe is implied in that which he says, are the following. Mourning is an understandable, normal, and real expression of your emotions. Mourning presents the opportunity for us to experience the comfort of family, friends, and loved ones. Mourning identifies us with each other in our humanity and morality. Mourning will not last forever. It is for a particular season and reason. Mourning connects us with the ultimate source and means of comfort that is always available to us, God, our Heavenly Father, through Jesus Christ. And so today, we look to the Lord in prayer, Him who is able to comfort us with the comfort that we need in times like these. God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God of comfort, we pray even now for those who mourn and are in need of your comfort. May your love embrace them. May your grace afford them the strength for each day and hope for tomorrow. May you inspire and motivate them to stand upon the promises of your word. And may your Spirit lead and direct them to the ultimate source and means of comfort which can be found in you and the promises of your word. This prayer we offer through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.